Me and Tony are out here on the lake today. We thought we'd show you a demonstration of what catfish look like on the side imaging sonar. Here we are, we're scanning along, and we see several hot streaks here. There's a streak there. That's a fish, that's a fish, that's a fish, that's a fish, that's a fish. And here we go, we're coming into an even thicker school of them. And you say, well, how do you know they're fish? Well, you can see the shadow. Humminbird will let you come over here and zoom in on these fish. And what you see here is you see that white hot streak with the shadow behind it, that black line. Here we go. Here's another fish with a shadow. One of the fishes right here, there's his shadow. He's higher up in the water column. And how you know how high the fish is in the water column is how far the shadow is from him. Here's a fish here with his shadow over here to the right. He's probably about 3 or 4 feet up in the water column. Here we go. Fish, 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 fish. And this is a very large school of catfish. You can see here, fish, fish, fish. The fish are going to be displayed as a hard return. On side imaging sonar, it is going to hit the fish and project a white hot streak. And when I say hot, it's a bright white beam. And like I say, here's a fish with the shadow. I mean, these are all fish, and you can see the shadows behind them. Over here, coming over here onto the right.
85 feet out.
Yep. So we're gonna turn back around and we're gonna come over them again. Now, say you're a guy who says, well, I don't know if side imaging's worth it. You know, that's kind of a lot more extra money to spend. I don't really see how it could be that much more effective. Well, here's 3 catfish right here. Here's 4 catfish. Okay, here's 20 catfish to the left. You're running traditional 2D broadband sonar. What are you seeing? You're seeing absolutely nothing. You're riding along thinking you are not marking fish in 6 foot of water, but if you have side imaging sonar, you would see all these fish projected on the screen. I mean, it is literally thick in here. There's a lot of bait that's coming in from the main channel, coming up on this big flat, and these fish are coming on top of it to feed. Now, as you can see here, these shadows that are just by themselves, those are stumps, a little bit of rock. You know, somebody says, well, how do I know the difference? There's some stump and some rocks, but these are all fish. These are all fish. And like I say, if you're wondering if traditional 2D broadband sonar is worth stepping up from that, going to side imaging, I mean, this speaks volumes. You got 3 really nice fish here with the shadows behind them. Judging by how far that shadow is from that fish, he's probably 4 or 5 feet up in the water column. You got about 6 fish hanging to this tree. You can see the tree coming down in the middle, and these streaks are sitting right on top of it. That's fish sitting there waiting to ambush. Fish here, fish here, fish here. But we just wanted to slow down and show you guys, because on your traditional sonar, you're not seeing a thing. On your down imaging, you got 1 fish there, but he's just outside the beam, so you're not picking him up on here. But if you got side imaging, you would see all these fish. A rock, or say a tree, or something like that, it's going to show up, but it's not going to show up as bright as these, because like I say, fish are displayed on your side imaging as hard returns. So you're going to get that nice hot white streak. There's no branches coming off these streaks. They're not round or anything like that. So you know they're not sticks or anything of that sort. I mean, these are fish. You can see them just as clear as day with the shadows behind them. I mean, that is just a mere perfect image of, and you can see we're going over a little ball of bait. That's what these fish are in here feeding on. And we're gonna get close to this rock pile right here and show you what the difference is. There's a fish. That is a nice fish. You can see how much bigger this fish is than that fish right directly beside of him. That is a really nice fish there. And like I said, we have not yet to pick up one thing on our traditional 2D sonar. All right, here's a rock pile. We're stretching out only about 85 feet. One thing to remember with the smaller units, wow, we're picking up a lot of fish right offside this rock pile. Right offside this rock pile. All right, we're coming into this rock pile. You can see the rocks. Okay, you can see the gravel and stuff like that. That does not look like this. You can clearly tell that that is fish right off the side of this rock pile feeding. There's no question. Now here you have a stick or a limb or something right there. It's not real bright. It's kind of dull, but you can see that. And the reason why it's not bright and it's kind of dull is because a limb or a tree sits down in the water. It gets mushy, it gets soft. So when that beam hits it, it does not project a bright beam because it's hitting a soft return. A fish, on the other hand, like these, are a hard return. You actually have a limb right here. You can see it. It's not a hard return. You can see these fish here that are bright. I mean, really, really bright. And that is a hard return, and that's where you really see. If you think you're having a little trouble distinguishing it, if you're running a Humminbird, you can come down here in the sharpness and turn it up, and what it does is it highlights it even more. It pushes away those sticks, it discards that softer images and only displays a brighter return, or that a little bit extra white. It kind of helps when finding maybe crappie around a brush pile. It kind of takes away from the overall image and of the tree that they're in, and it only highlights the fish that are there. And we're turning back around to go back over these fish here, so you may see our wake on the side imaging, but we're going to turn that sharpness on low. Like I said, it's going to distinguish the picture a little bit, but it's only going to highlight the stuff that we're looking for, and that's fish. So if you're having a little bit of trouble saying, I can't tell if that's a stick, see, that's a rock right there. You know, you can clearly tell that's not what we were just seeing. See there? That's a fish right there. We're moving on along. We're going to see if we can get back into these fish. Here's some more off to the right. But like I was saying, with the smaller images, here they go, fish again, fish again. We're going to turn that sharpness off now. But with the smaller images, you want to be careful how far you run your imaging out. These units are capable of running up to around 250 feet off both sides of the boat. Now, just because it's able to do that does not mean you want to do that. And the reason is because the further you scan, the smaller these fish are going to look. I can come here to my side imaging range, and I can stretch that out to 145 feet, 150 feet. And now if you look, they look like mere dots. They're not any good size, you know, they're just little specks. And the reason why is because we're stretching it out too far. Especially with the bigger units, with the larger units, this is a 10-inch screen. It still shows it very nicely, but if you're under around a 7-inch screen, these good sized fish are going to look like little speckles, and you may get confused by that and drive over them. So even with this 10-inch screen, I like to keep it around 95, 100 feet. That gives clear definition. I can really see these streaks, but a lot of times to really get that detail in, I'll bring it into around 70 feet, and then it just highlights these arches even better. But like I said, you know, you're getting a little distortion right here. This is from where we just passed over just a little bit ago. But we're so shallow, and once you start getting shallow, you start taking away from the capabilities of 2D sonar. And when you get shallow, this is when side imaging shines, as you see here. We wanted to show you guys so you guys would have a good reference on what this looks like on sonar. If you have any questions, shoot us an email and or a message, and just let us know, and we'll be glad to cover that subject. We're going to come out here again later on, and we're actually going to do this same thing and actually throw rods out there and catch them in a reasonable manner, so you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about here. All right, hope you enjoyed it. We thank you for watching.